Hey guys, here we sit. It's April 30th. Man, that means tomorrow's May. That means the summer is almost here. The school year is almost done. You guys are wrapping all the things up with end of the year programs, tests, papers, all that stuff. Everything is kind of pressing down on you all at once. All you juniors are going to be seniors soon, and man, all the excitement that comes with that. Want to take a chance here. Don't forget, we still have a rally night next week, and we're going to be doing baptisms next week. Want to see you there. I know that it might be you. After last week's message or this week's message, you might be going, I need that. I'm ready for that. And you just needed an open opportunity. Maybe next week is that week for you and you need to talk to your coach tonight. If that's the case, do it. If you're new here tonight and you're like, what is this guy talking about? You guys, we're glad that you're here. We want you to be known, valued, and loved. And we're here to tell you about the man, Jesus Christ. And it's who we always talk about, and how much he loves you, and that we're called to love him and to love others. So that's why we're here tonight. So we'll see you next week in the big room. Last chance, big night of worship. Let's wrap the year up before we head off to move this summer, before we head off to all those fun things. So all that being said, you ever come across a video that just makes you giggle, that you want to watch it over and over and over again? I found one of those videos last week when I was prepping for this message, and it has to do with that annoying thing that gets us whenever we're gaming, watching a movie. I'm talking about lag or buffering. Check this video out.
Classic as in 5 minutes ago, that's all I was doing. Nice. Okay. Bro, please. Whoa! 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 Hey! Hey! That's what... Just... Hey! 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 Hey!
So I love as you're watching this part of the game, and he just loses it. You're watching the ball in the top right-hand corner. All the work that he's done, it is just going to bounce and roll all the way back to the beginning and the start. Here's what I loved about that. It was he went through these stages of astonishment. The first one was this, like when you realize that something's lagging, something's not right, it's just like, whoa, wait, what? So like he had that moment, and then he had the what would the right word be? He had the alarm of realizing what it was. So he goes from wait, what? And then he goes, hey, hey, and then it progressively turns into like this anger and rage. And then I think my favorite part was when he realized, like, yeah, it's done, it's over. He just went, and he just fell down through his chair under the desk. And you got to watch like all the work that he had done. And like, it's true. Like, not being connected to the internet in today's day and age is like a major thing. If you're going, I don't have data, I don't have Wi-Fi. I spent 4 days this last March in an area of South Dakota that literally had like zero cell signal. Like your phone would die in an hour searching for a signal. And there were pieces of it that like I wanted to connect with people while I was having this experience, but at the same time, it was so nice to be unplugged. But we're not talking about that tonight. Tonight I want to talk to you about how Jesus's desire for us is for us to remain connected to him. And something that Jesus did all through scripture, if you read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, he would use very ordinary things in day-to-day world to connect to the heart of the people around him, to connect biblical truths. And we're going to see one of those today. And I believe that he could have used internet buffering or lag in the same way that he used a grapevine. So he was talking to his closest followers, and before we jump into what this looks like, I want to explain to you what a grapevine looks like, because you may have a distorted view of what it would look like. It's not like stringy, just green, wiry, going like this everywhere. No, check this photo out. The vine on a grapevine is this thick, woody, stocky looking plant that literally supports the entire network of branches and fruit that those branches are going to produce. And specifically the Middle Eastern variety of grapevine that Jesus would have been talking about would develop roots that would go 20 or 30 feet deep into the ground for a couple of reasons. It had to reach water, had to reach nourishment to provide nourishment to the branches and to the fruit. And it also needed those deep roots to withstand the violent, harsh environment that plant lived in. And I want you to think about that for a minute. I mean, we're kind of living in a harsh environment, all right? And so he talked about a vine. I want you to pay attention to the second picture. You see the branches of this grapevine. So grapevines kind of had three parts. They had vine, branches, and fruit. The branches are all these smaller pieces that come off of the main vine. You see the big woody vine, and then you see all these little branches. And if you zoom in even closer on this photo, you see that the branch that's bearing fruit is this fragile, little, thin, green branch. It's this little tiny thing. And that's what produces fruit. And this is what Jesus is using to explain some biblical truth about remaining in him. Because you're gonna hear the illustration, like staying connected to him and bearing fruit. All right? So let's jump into John chapter 15, starting with verse 1. John chapter 15, starting with verse 1, says this. Jesus says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. So there's a principle right there that you may have a lot of different opportunities, different vines to connect to. And he's saying, look, I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. You are already clean because of the word I have spoken to you. Remain in me, and I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. Hear that. Apart from Jesus, you can do nothing. If you do not remain in me, you are like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. Jesus starts off this chapter with, remain in me, and I will remain in you, and you will bear fruit. And he is the true vine. I want you to think about this illustration that he used of the vine and the branches. There's a couple easy principles that you can grab a hold of. First off, that tiny little branch, if you snip a branch off and you lay it on the ground and you just set it aside, is it going to accomplish anything? No. What's going to happen to that branch? That branch is literally just going to dry up, and it's going to get trampled on, broken up, thrown into a fire, burned. It's useless. It's going to produce no fruit whatsoever. What happens in order for a branch to produce fruit, it has to remain in the vine. And the vine is the one that provides the nutrients, the refreshment, the DNA for producing fruit. And the type of fruit that it will produce comes from the vine. And when you think about this, you guys, it is deeply spiritual that Jesus would say, look, I'm the vine. I'm the one that holds the DNA that I want you to reproduce. And the only way that you are going to reproduce this DNA and the fruit that you bear is if you stay connected to me. And I think of all the things that we can connect our lives to. Now, last week we talked about things like relationships, activities, and Parker's right. We talk about that stuff a lot. Like, honestly, what I want to talk about tonight is you may have connected your life to sinful things that are producing ungodly fruit. So just like if you have connected your life to Jesus, and that is where you're getting your nourishment and the DNA for the fruit that you're going to produce, you could literally connect your life to sinful patterns, sinful mindsets, sinful actions, and the fruit that your life is producing isn't at all what Jesus wants for you. And quite honestly, when you look at that fruit of your life, it's not what you want for you or the people around you. Like, I think if I would choose to go live a lifestyle of rebellion and sin, the fruit that's going to produce, that's going to be a product of that lifestyle that I live, is going to be broken relationships, hurt, basically a lack of peace. I'm going to be hiding. My life will be full of lies, trying to cover up my sin, all of that stuff. The fruit of my life just isn't going to match what Jesus wants. You see what I'm saying? And so he says, remain in me and I will remain in you. And then he goes on through the rest of the next part of John chapter 15 to give us a command. And I was thinking about this. Whenever Jesus would give us a command, students, we should probably pay pretty close attention. It's not very often that he looks straight at his people and goes, look, this command I give you. But it's literally what he's getting ready to do. So ears, perk it up, all right? Perk it up. He says this, verse 9, as the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you and your joy may be complete. So his purpose is he's wanting his joy to fill you and your joy to be complete. And then he follows it with this. My command is this. Listen. Love each other as I have loved you. Love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends, for everything that I learned from my Father I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit that will last, and so that whatever you ask in my name, the Father will give you. And then he repeats himself, students, which means you got to pay attention. This is my command. Love each other. If you remember back in February, we talked about the definition of love. Because you've heard me over and over again, if you've been here for more than a year, I'm a broken record. Like how the world has just distorted the definition of love, you guys. They've assigned it to just affection, emotion, love is giving me what I want, blah, 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 blah. No, if you remember back in February, love is tightly connected to humility, sacrifice, and servitude. And the reason we know this is because that's what Jesus demonstrated on the cross. If you look back in John 15 of what we just read, he said, you are my friends and I lay down my life for you. And he was like trying to explain how it is that we should love each other. And it's with humility, sacrifice, and servitude. And when we love that way, that's a part of the way as we are connected to Jesus, we are compelled to love others in the same way that we have been loved. And I realized something as I was going through John chapter 15, that order to love each other can be really difficult if you've never been loved yourself. If you've never allowed the love of Jesus to enter into your heart, if you have a hard time receiving the truth that he loves you in spite of the wrong that you've done in his eyes, in the eyes of God, and he willingly laid his life down to take a punishment that you and I deserve. that can be a hard gift to receive because we don't feel worthy. But that's the trick in this, or the catch, is that we have to receive that to be connected to Him, and we have to be connected to Him in order to produce good fruit, which is loving one another. So foundationally, students, you have to find yourself in a place of being able to receive the love of God, which can be really difficult because the enemy wants you to believe that you're not lovable, that you're not forgivable, that everything that you've done has just made you so far past redeemable and okay to be with that you can't even receive love from God. So how in the world would you be able or willing or able to offer Christ's love to anyone else if you haven't received it yourself? It's our hope this whole year we've been building up, challenging you week after week after week. Students, what are you going to do with the love of God? We have a night of baptisms next week. Some of you, as you're sitting in that room, you need to not leave this room tonight until you have talked to that friend that invited you, the coach that's sitting in that circle, about what it means to unite your life with Christ. And next week needs to be the week that you walk into relationship, and for the first time, maybe you fully wrap your arms around Christ's love in a way that will keep you connected so that your life can bloom and you will bear fruit into the lives of others, because that's what God's called us to do. To love Him, to be loved by Him, so that in turn we can love others. Students, it's a high call and it's a challenge to live that way. I think you're up to it.